Hello, my name is Leslie Duran, and I'm going to explain to you why a technical school is the way to go to be successful in life and why you should never go to college. Maybe, depends. Anyways, first off, we got to define what success means. Success is different for every person. I want to say success involves earning money. I can pay my bills, I can buy my home, I can buy a car, and I can buy whatever I want. Once I can do that, I will see myself as successful. However, someone else will say it'll be like earning multiple properties or just being happy or having a family, things like that. In this case, we're just going to focus on you are a student and you just graduated and you are a single person living on your own, getting an education. And then we're going to make that go further and basically say that your success will be measured as you having a career that you can buy the basic things you need in your life and you're above the poverty line. All right, so let's go straight into a technical school and what they offer. This chart shows what every single school that's a tech school in Georgia offers when it comes to the percentage of their students who leave with a job that they studied for within months of graduating. Already, you see a bunch of 90s, 80s, like 1 or 2 70% that are pretty high. Basically, about 90% of students who leave a technical school as of 2020 are going to have a job that involves what they studied for. And already, when you talk to a bunch of people on the streets and teachers even, they will say that, yes, it was hard for me to have this job right after having a 4-year, 6-year education in college. And these rates right here are placed by the actual technical schools of Georgia. So these are pretty accurate results of every single school. And already off the bat, they are already the better option because they have a higher chance of giving you a job after leaving school. 2 years of school, not 4, but 2 years of school at least. Now, let's compare that to a typical school like UGA. UGA is a pretty popular school. As of now, it has a 45% acceptance rate. It's a really good school in different ways. However, when you look at the stats that they offer on their page and we look at the class of 2019 and how their responses, like after 6 months of graduation, like where they were, it has these big numbers of 95, 88%. All right, cool. Those are pretty big numbers. When we look deeper, though, we see that only 66% of students who leave UGA ended up with a full-time job. It could have been a full-time job at your local McDonald's, your local supermarket, just a basic full-time job. And looking further, 88% of those people who left with a full-time job or an internship, 88% of those students got to be in a field that they studied in, and like a work environment that they studied in. Meaning that if we add those two percentages where 73% of students either received a full-time job or an internship, because that still involves some sort of steps to getting a full-time job later on, 73% of students had those options after graduating. And 88% of that specific group received some sort of option that actually involved what they studied for. Meaning that if we break those percentages down, out of every 1,000 students that left UGA in 2019, 6 months later, 642 students left with some sort of job or internship that involved what they paid thousands of dollars to study for. That is already a way less rate than compared to the other schools. Even the lowest percentage was like 78, 79. Here, a 4-year institution that cost thousands, tens and thousands of dollars resulted in about 64% of students receiving a full-time job or an internship, meaning that they're not even getting paid, but they're at least going into something that involves their field. Already, that is a low percentage compared to the technical school rates and when compared to the money that you're inputting. when we look at the money that every student has on average and everything, we see that they borrow almost the equivalent of $37,000 in pure loans. And we see that is a huge number. Like, you are in debt almost 40 grand. That is a huge number. And half of the people who have this debt are still continuing to pay for their education. And so when we put that in perspective of looking at the other rates that technical schools have, we see that they're way more. A 4-year college is way more expensive than a 2-year tech school, especially when you look at the rates at which they give jobs and opportunities for students to get back that money that they paid their education for. We see that there's just a huge price range and a huge range of students who don't get a job that is involved in what they paid thousands of dollars for and are struggling to pay back those debts still to this day. And it comes to the question of, well, a lot of statistics show, as the one shown right here, that the higher degree you have, the more education you have, the more years you have under your belt, the higher the higher salary you are to gain. And that is understandable. There are doctorate degrees and being things like, a doctorate in like a doctor's office and things like that, you're more likely to get more money. However, when you think about it short term, within like the 20 years of you graduating, you are still in debt the money that you owe for getting that education. Meaning the higher education, the higher that you accumulate, and the more money that you earn is going to go most likely a higher amount to the money that you owe. So in the short term, it seems more negative. It just, the money you earn is more likely to go to the increasing amount of money you owe in student debt. So already looking at it short term and not long term, you see that really you gaining a lot more money from that higher education will mean that you owe more money from receiving that higher education. So when we look at it at a short term way, having a technical school, going to a technical school and getting that education, and then having those high rates of a job placement and depending on what you study for, a really good salary, you're just most likely to pay it off in the short term than compared to a person who has a master's degree or even a doctorate's degree. Now it comes into the question, well, what if a tech school doesn't offer what I want? There is an easy solution. First off, when you talk to adults already, they're going to tell you that what they're working in isn't what they wanted. What they're working in isn't what they studied for. And so you come into the question of, well, you could stay in that job that you don't necessarily like and be earning a really good amount of money with no debt at all to your name. Or you can continue working in that job, having no debt, save money, and get another degree or another type of education elsewhere. Nobody is stopping you from continuing education or just skipping a year or two and then going on to study something else that has nothing to do with what you're currently working in. And if anything, it is a plus because you study for one thing, you don't like it, you now can tell people, yeah, I figured out what I like now by trial and error. I'm still debt-free, you're still earning a livable wage, and now you have the opportunity to say, I can go back to college, not worry about my debt, and actually get something in life. Whether, again, it's a technical school, it's a college, 2-year school, 4 years, 6-year school, whatever it is, you now have that option and that movement to move around because you went to a tech school, studied for 2 years, no debt, and have a really good livable wage job. This is why it's the best path for success. You're just more likely to pay off your debt and be debt-free, which a lot of people can't say when they go to a 4-year college. You're more likely to go into a field that you studied for. And again, a lot of colleges cannot say that. And just knowing that you're going to be going to a technical school and having those resources and those connections with the people there, you have a better chance of getting a job out of there. So overall, it just is a better situation for you to go to a technical school, because even if there is a quote unquote error and you feel like you can have a better job or you can have a different job that appeals more to you, you have that movement to go somewhere else, and you have the money and the funds to not only save for it but pay it off and still be debt free as you study. These assumptions and these rates and all that stuff are based on a bunch of sources that I got right here, but also looking at the fact that you're going to be living alone by yourself and you're going to be like maintaining yourself. So yes, technical schools are the way to go, and they allow you for movement, they allow you to be debt free, and that is why they are the definition of having success after high school.